myself attended a seminar on the exposition of Book of James. And I realized how insightful James was in helping the believers really transition from sort of kind of a somewhat sheltered, somewhat, what can I say, livable Christian life in the first century. And then all of a sudden, in Acts 8:1, we know persecution hits Jerusalem. And so, if you wanted to continue to maintain your faith, and yet do business, and yet raise your family, one of the options that was left for the Jewish believers was they needed to just move. They needed to just get the heck out of Jerusalem. And my grandmother was from Pyongyang in North Korea. And when the war happened back in 1950, the Korean War, as the 30 era was being drawn, she understood North Korea wasn't going to give religious freedom. She had become a believer in the 1900s Bible. And because she herself really valued faith, even though the living conditions in the North Korea was much better before the war, she decided to pack a couple of her bags with my grandfather, my dad, who was 8, I think at that time, and they just walked, at that time, trekked down to South Korea because of her value that she wanted freedom of religion. At least that's the story she shared with me. And so in the same way, the Jewish believers were kind of dispersed, the Jewish diaspora, all over the Mediterranean world. And as a result, they were going through new challenges, things that they weren't accustomed to. And I just thought, kind of using maybe the ladder of abstraction, even though they were going through somewhat of persecution, and I'm not trying to scare college graduates saying, you are going to be persecuted. Welcome to young adult life. Just die now. It's not that bad. Okay? You can ask the young adults who are already here. It's not that, that bad. However, using the kind of the ladder of abstraction, how James then applies to us. What are some of the wisdom that comes to us from the book of James that will help us to continue on in our pursuit of God? That will continue on in really helping us to be salt and light, not only in close-knit college community settings that a lot of you have been part of it, really enjoyed. Your faith has thrived. But now as you kind of leave the scene, how do you continue to maintain that level of faith in the midst of hardships, challenges, things that you weren't expecting, decisions you have to make that are a little more weighty than what school should I attend or what major should I choose. And now the decisions you make, who should I marry? Should I take that job way over in Iowa? Has more significant implications. And so, as we go through the book of James, and like I said, I'm not sure if we're going to get through the whole book, so I gave you the notes. I hope some of the principles the wisdom that James gives to the believers will be applicable in your kind of personal life, your setting. Let me ask, how many of you guys have that kind of personality where you like changes? Like, change is good. It's kind of your life philosophy. Can I see this? You guys are the type who, if a new restaurant opens, I want to try it. I want to get there. And you might even go to the same restaurant, but even though you've had that favorite dish, you want to try a different dish. Right? That's usually, and if your room has been, organized in a certain way for at least 6 months, it just suffocates you. You're dying. You're like, oh God, I need to move, or I need to rearrange furniture, at least add a potted plant or something. Now, the rest of you guys who didn't raise your hand, let me ask, how many of you guys kind of are resistant or feel safer when things are more stable and routine? And we like to use the word rhythm of life. It sounds so cool, but it's just boring. But we call it rhythm. How many of you guys have more about that? You go to the restaurant and you find yourself ordering the same dish you've had a million times, but it's good, and you're going to spend $10, $15. You might as well enjoy because you know you enjoy. And so I saw a lot of hands just go up. Some of you guys are like, I don't even know. One thing about It's inevitable in life. Even for those who don't like change, change comes. When you move to Philly for school, you experience the change. Some of you will move back home, start jobs, start careers. That's a change. It's a change in life. Some of you will get married, and you'll be married to one person, the only person. That's a huge change. And some of you decide we're going to start a family. And so changes are inevitable part of life. I personally side with, I go to my restaurant and I order the same dish over and over and over. I'm sort of in that camp. My wife is more about, I need something new. I need to try this. I need to try that. And I always feel like, dude, you got ADD or something. Just, just chill out. But I'm more about that. And so, I hope some of the stories that I share is what I cover. Because one thing I've observed is when change comes, we gain. There's an addition. But there is also loss. Isn't it? There's also loss. I share with one another right now, I want you guys to talk to me. When you leave all the, the comforts or the life of the college setting, you guys, I realize college life is one of the best periods life can apply. Like, think about it. Like, the only thing that you're required to do, like go to class and pass some exams and write some papers, the only thing you're required to do is actually perceived as optional. Like, you sign up for class 9 in the morning, but you realize, I don't have to show up. I mean, nowhere in life, like, you try that in your corporate business. You show up at 9 o'clock, you don't wake up the next day thinking, my boss will understand if I take a day off. It's optional. Heck no, it's not optional. You better show up and you better be there, otherwise you're fired. You have consequences. There's consequences if you don't show up to class, but it's not that bad, right? And it's the time where if your parents are wealthy or they've been paying for your tuition, somebody pays for you. Somebody gives you money. And if your parents can't do it, there's a thing called scholarships or loans. Somebody pays you to live this life of option and just really enjoy. And the other thing I find in college life is you come to this kind of close proximity, and if you want to date, like dating, that's something that you really enjoy. Man, there are like thousands of people in your life stage. Maybe definitely similar education background, similar interests, where they are just around you all the time, all day long. Whether it's morning, whether it's night, there are people who are just, there are girls saying, ask me out. Maybe if you're good looking, I'll go out with you. One of the things when you leave the college scene, one of the complaints I hear from young adults is like, oh gosh, it's just so hard to find something. And then they look at things like eHarmony and realize, no, that's for like desperate people, and that's for like people who last resort to. There's that kind of a stigma still. But young adults it is so hard to just do. But in college, oh man, really just left the right. So, and this is kind of unique stage, 4 years, 5 years, some maybe 6 stage of life where you are really enjoying. And when you leave this, when you are like thrown out of the nest, when the big mama eagle just comes and says, you graduated. There's that momentary, yes, I graduated, and now they're like, I better really fly. There is a loss of something. And I want you to kind of share with each other right now. What do you think? What losses would you incur? What losses would you experience going from college life to Can you share that with one another? If you can think of some things. Now, just even physical rest, the freedom to kind of take physical rest, maybe at any time of the day, even things like that. And I don't look at those things and look at it as bad things, but because they've been part of our life, there is loss when you move. There is loss when you transition. I experienced loss when I left South. I gained, but definitely in my kind of personality that was used to the rhythm or routine, in my emotions, I felt there was more things lost the more things gained. And I really had to kind of really, I don't mean to make it sound like when I went to Kairos Church, it was like, just kill me now, Jesus. It's not that bad. Please forgive me if I come across a little bit too much like that. But I did feel like constantly in my mind, even now, I look at my son's daycare that was so perfect. Oh, the convenience of a favorite restaurant that I used to eat at on a regular basis. And all these things went through my mind. And human emotions is real. There were times when I experienced sadness. There was times when I would experience envy. There was times when I would experience anger, frustration, pride. And I think I don't want to equate what I'm going through and say, wow, I'm being persecuted. Okay, but just again, James's application. James's believers were asking that why question that I find many young adults or many people who are going through loss are asking, why isn't this working? Why isn't this happening? Even in the midst of gain. And so we'll kind of go through the book of James, and we hope that the principles that passages, the wisdom we glean, can really minister to you, so that it brings about kind of that biblical heart in approaching transition. Okay? So, we'll just go to point number 1 in the middle of the page. Persevere joyfully through trials, for they lead to maturity and life. Joyfully is the key word. There's no joy in losing sleep. There's no joy in trying to figure out a new community and see if you fit. It's hard to feel joy when your mind and your heart is just kind of always gravitating towards what is at loss. And so, what James is saying is not saying, I know you're suffering. I know you're going through hardships and new challenges that you weren't really ready for, but be a masochist. Be happy about it. Smile. He's not saying enjoy the pain, because pain is not to be enjoyed unless really you're a masochist. But he was saying, in the midst of these trials and challenges and hardships, realize and understand there is God's sovereign design, His work, His shaping and molding of you, all of us, still going on in your life. And because He is, in this, as James is saying, maturing, and because of that maturity, ultimately you will gain this eternal crown of life that He's been preparing in heaven for you. And so it's somewhat of an eternal perspective. He's saying, I know you're going through pain. I know, in James's audience, I know your children are being picked on at school. I know when you're applying for new businesses, your new marketplaces, these governments just look at you Jews and they have racial tendencies. They don't want to do business with you, so they're boycotting you just because you're a Jew. And so you have a hard time even paying for putting food on your table. And I know you're going through these, and he's not saying just smile and be joyful. But there is some kind of a maturity process that God is doing behind the scenes as you go through these new challenges. Therefore, you can approach trials with joy. I told you that even for me, I consider things that are lost. And I feel weird because this is being recorded. I know Kairos people don't. Maybe you could block out just the Kairos people. I don't talk about my church. I'm glad no Kairos people are here. I love you Kairos people, as Pastor Bruce is saying. But people at Southland, people have asked me, so how are you doing? How are you enjoying this? The word we usually use. How are you enjoying Kairos? How are you enjoying it? I was enjoying Southland. I was enjoying the community there. My children were growing up with friends there. Kairos, my kid, is the only kid. I want my kid to have friends at church. My wife and I, we can go to dinners with our peers and feel like not only was it my job as a pastor, but it was my community as a church.
At Kairos, I feel like it's just my job because everyone's so much younger. So those are the kind of feelings that I'm having. And as people have been asking me, how are you feeling? I have two answers. One is I'm not, honestly, in my emotional, I'm not enjoying it. I'm not having fun yet. I will. I'll learn to. I'm not having fun yet. But two, I am thankful. I am thankful that every lesson that's being thrown at me, some I'm failing, some I'm going to wrestle through. How do I handle this new issue that I never had to deal with in my life, in my career? But as I'm going through it, I find myself leaning on God even more. I find myself drawing closer to my wife and really talking through with my wife the decision that I used to think I could just make it. But now, because I'm going through this kind of insecurity kind of a phase in my life, I find myself, my marriage has actually gotten stronger as a result of us. And so I find myself saying, I'm very thankful. There is a place of joy in my heart in the midst of trial. And God is saying, focus then on those things, on the eternal perspective, and the purpose of trial, because it leads you ultimately towards maturity. How would being thrown out of a community setting that's been, as the word used was a bubble, and pastors preach on community all the time. We want you to be in this Christian community. We want you to be kind of safeguarded by accountability and love and encouragement. How does being just thrown out of that help you? How does it mature you? And you need to figure out, well, this is what God is teaching. This is what God is showing you. And He doesn't just leave it alone. He says, so ask for wisdom. Ask for wisdom. Look for wisdom. Like I really say to the young adults, you can leave this. One of your main prayers shouldn't be, Lord, what is your will? Lord, should I take that job? What about him? What about her? Like those things are kind of really on the peripheral. But deep inside your heart is, God, I need wisdom. I need wisdom. I know a lot of young adults, one of the main questions that comes up over and over and over, how do I know God's will? Right? How do I know that it is God's will for me to take this job and move out to New York City or go back to Chicago? How do I know this church that I should join, that I've been kind of church hopping and checking out? How do I know this church is for me? How do I know that person that I'm dating is the person and what is God's will for me? And the simple truth to that is that's not even a biblical question. At no point does any character in the Bible say, well, God, what is your will for me in my life? That's the wrong question. You might get wrong. You might get answers at best, but they're wrong answers. God is not obligated to give you wrong answers because you're asking the wrong questions. And in here it shows, ask for wisdom. Seek wisdom. And the promise of James is He will give it to you generously. He will give you wisdom upon wisdom upon wisdom. It might come in like direct revelation because He's just so close to you and near you, and as you spend time just, I don't know, seeking Him and being near Him, you just kind of grow and mature and begin to think biblically or otherworldly, not the way the world is. It might come in the form of other, former small group leaders or former pastors just calling you up and talking to you. It might come in that form, but the truth is, God says He will give you wisdom to maneuver through all of these different transitions in life. And that's the promise that we can hold to. Not the promise, I will get married, or I will have that 6-figure salary in that corner office. That's never promised in the Bible anywhere. But what's promised is if you ask for wisdom, God says, I'll give it to you. I'll give you plenty of it. So that when you have to make that decision in life about being married, you'll make a wise choice. When you have to decide, should I move out or should I go with, you're going to make a wise choice. Because you'll be enriched in making decisions on that wisdom. And as you find this wisdom, I think the response you'll see in your heart is a growth of joy, a growth of being able to persevere. And this kind of sense that there's kind of serenity, and something's guarding your heart. Young adults here, have you guys been, is that one of the things you guys pray for?
Right, let me see. Because you guys are, you even have time to pray. You're busy situation.
And as you do, let me really ask you something young. Who are the young adults? Do you find, okay, let me ask my brother in the back. Do you find that you've been growing in wisdom as you kind of moved out? And you don't have this humble modesty, like, of course, come to me, my children. But do you feel like over the course of the year, living life, if you look back, do you feel like you've grown in wisdom?
I guess, like, I'm actually a grad student now, but
You're still a student.
I'm not willing to move on yet. But it's like very heavily research based and like much less independence and flexibility. But I'm finding that a lot of these new experiences along the way and continually meeting new people, being surrounded by new people, and I guess I'm learning a lot through those and like seeking God's guidance and these different experiences. What should I be learning from these things? How should I handle this next time? Or be just personal preparation for things that are upcoming in my life. So I think it's like a very much ongoing thing. Of course, I don't know if I've experienced like or look back and see tangibly, I have grown in wisdom, but I feel like it's like through those experiences God has given me wisdom.
Even at 43, I'm 43 now, I'm still learning. I'm still learning, like Pastor Bruce's sermon today, about the things that I know are concealed in my heart that I own. And so I'm still learning that when I express frustration, when I express judgment, it's not because people around me are so wicked and wild, but man, there's still things in my heart that I still need to grow. In this first section, in verse 10, it's but the rich should take pride in their humiliation. Verse 9, sorry, believers in humble circumstances ought to take pride in their high position. Now, he's actually talking about the rich and the poor. He's talking about business. He's talking about what you guys will be doing as you leave college life, graduate life, and hopefully land jobs. And I think part of our hope is that we make a pretty good salary. And there's nothing wrong with a good salary. There's nothing wrong with a six-figure salary. But what was happening for these guys, it was every day a situation of can we put food on the table for our children, for our family. They were going through that. And the kind of trials that sometimes God puts us through, it will be financial trials. Maybe not every one of us. But I've seen people, especially climate and recession the last few years, not land a job after really high education, good education, well qualified, and yet as they're sending out resumes all over the place, it's just no after no after no. Even your headhunter looks at you and goes, maybe I can help you a lot. Hopefully, you need to beef up at least 1 year of internship, whatever. But there's this kind of notion that for the first time, some of the college graduates, young folks, are experiencing rejection. You've never been rejected, maybe by, I don't know, really high level school, but for the most part, you've always felt accepted by the system. Now you're going through rejection. And in the midst of that trial, James is saying, even there, what is the lesson God is teaching? He wants you to know that the treasures in heaven are much more valuable. We had a married couple at Southland, doctor and marketing, like graphics and kind of marketing. Just a beautiful couple, Northwestern University, just came up to LA, got the job. And they were making some good money. I mean, it was to the point where, $2,000 purse, you can do it. And so they were kind of, living not bad people, living the OC wives life, OC lifestyle. One of the small group members, in hindsight, we found out he was involved in some shady flipping houses business. You buy a house, fix it up, flip it. But it was during the housing boom, so it was very tempting. I mean, he was guaranteeing people, you put money in this house, I will give you a return of 40%. And when you hear something that good, there is this kind of a fleshly part in all of it. 40%. If if I promise you 40% return on investment, you guys would give me money. Like, if I really banked on it, you saw me living the life because I'm driving the Beamer. You guys would. And so this doctor couple, led by the reputation, decided he's going to invest $100,000 into buying a property for 40% within like 3-4 months. This is a big deal. Housing market crashes, boom, everything goes sour. We find out the company that guy was working for was under FBI investigation. There's just a lot of shady stuff. 100,000. And I remember this happened when Pastor Keith, my senior pastor, was out of town. I was doing like college ministry at Southland. I wasn't ready for $100,000 problem in church. You know, college kids come to me and say, you know, I just broke up. I can handle that. I can counsel you. I can talk with you, empathize, pray with you. When a couple comes to me and says, I just lost $100,000 because of my small group members, I'm like, okay, Pastor Keith, why are you in China? Come here now. I mean, really, this spilled over when he was out of town. And so I couldn't wait for the pastor to get back. As soon as he landed, I picked him up at LAX. I go, Pastor Keith, this is what happened this week. And he wasn't the only one. There was 2 other couples. They didn't lose as much. They lost about 30 to 40,000. So it had a quick impact. And I told Pastor Keith, this is what happened in our church. For me, I was like panic attack. I was like, holy cow, what do we do? You know, things are gonna fall apart. The couple, they lost $100,000 cash. Pastor Keith just grinned. So, did you hear what I just said? It's good that they learned this lesson now when they're younger. That's wisdom. When he said that, I was like, I'm gonna write down in my pastoral black book. So whenever I see a church member suffering, that's good. You need to learn this while you're younger. But that's what James is saying. James is really saying that. I know they go through financial hardship. I know you think you should be hired. I know you think your family, your children should have Nintendo DS and Wii's and all the other toys that your neighborhood kids are playing with. But is that really where you want to invest faith in your future? I'm not saying it's wrong. But see, I want to teach you what's more valuable to you so that I make you a leader. That's what Pastor Keith said. If he's going to be a leader, or he said, this life lesson of becoming a leader in our church. Right? Expensive lesson. For him to be eventually an elder, a leader, a thriving, growing, life-saving, transforming church. So there are life lessons that some of you will go through. Not every one of you might experience a $100,000 lesson loss. But you'll go through trials. You'll go through hopefully jobless people. You'll go through unhappy jobs. And in the midst of it, enjoy it. Okay? Let's go on to the second section. And if you respond simply to a trial, don't blame God. Rather, instead, come back to the Word of God. Obey what the Word of God says. Verses from 13 to 25. A lot of people will, in their moment of panic, in their moment of trials and hardship, because our maturity level hasn't really gotten to that level where we can respond so godly, like, yes, Lord, thank you. A lot of us will resort to sinful, worldly tactics. We will try to cut corners. We will try to just lie a little, maybe a white lie. Cheat on taxes or do certain things that just think that we're getting an edge over our competition, that we're getting ahead, because that's where we ultimately want to be. You know, that doctor couple that invested $100,000, they said to themselves, oh, if we make $40,000, $50,000, we can give more tuition. We can easily justify and self-deceive our own heart, thinking, I'm doing this for God. But deep inside, they were going through greed. This is God's way of saying, I'm going to stamp out greed. My leader in my church, there's no room for greed. It's generosity, act of faith. And so even for us, in our age, there is going to be tendency to resort to sinful practice. And James is saying, you've lost all bearing on who you are. Come back to obedience my seminary, a pastor before I started seminary told me, before you start seminary, read as much Bible as possible. And I was like, okay, makes sense. Because once you get into seminary, you don't have time to read the Bible. It's so sad because we have to read volumes and volumes of commentary, the Greek, and all these other stuff. You barely have time to actually read the Bible. And I think that's not a compliment to the seminaries. I think in some sense it's almost like, even though we're talking about the Bible, we're talking about the Word of God, we sometimes analyze it too much. Rather than coming to that place where God's Word, again, is a really high view, your view in the Word of God. Does it have that effect? Is it the source of life? Is it what's going to correct you, bring you into all, or lead you to all righteousness? And if we are resorting to other fleshly tactics, we're kind of giving ourselves to making choices where something's going to buckle. Something is going to come crashing. It might not happen in your young adult years. Maybe it comes later, but something is going to happen. I think he's saying, stop blaming God. God is actually the giver of good gifts. He is trustworthy. And so come to the source of life and begin to obey God's word. I'm just going to kind of move forward. And then he goes into section 3 in chapter 1. He says, and so to safely get into the palace, you must guard your tongue from blaming God. And determine that you will love others and that you will avoid the world's way of responding to difficulties. This is the crux of James's letter. He is saying, I know you go through hardship, and you want to vent it out, you're angry, you're just blaming, you're complaining, you're judging. But he actually is very practical. He just shut up. Just stop using your tongue. Curses and praises should not be coming forth from your tongue. If what you really profess is, I trust in God, I trust Him wholeheartedly, I have faith in Him, then out of your tongue should not be coming out all kinds of vile just complaints. In the name of, I'm just venting, and I'm just processing. And this is really wisdom. Because one of the ways that I think you'll find in your workplaces, a lot of people, they complain. You guys know some complainers? If you know complainers around college life, your life is good, like this. Young adults, I think Pastor Bruce revealed it a little today as he was preaching. A lot of complaining, use of the tongue to criticize, to judge, to complain. And it's like I find it funny. Come on, James. These guys are going through some real hardships. They they're having a hard time even setting up business because no city, no town will even give them a permit. When your kids are getting picked on, all these bad things are, at least give them something to vent. Say, no, stop. God, show your trust in God. Persevere through the joyful. I think one of the easiest people to complain about as you move on in your next days are your bosses. You will find more than 100 reasons why your complaint about your boss is justified. He's a jerk, he's a hypocrite, he is foul, whatever. You can find 100 reasons. And if you found a good employer with Christian value and is really out to groom you as an employee and help you to succeed, praise the Lord. You found the gold. But I think for the most part, kind of a broken, sinful world, most bosses are kind of out to use you for their own benefit, their own profit. You do all the work, they get all the credit for it. And you'll begin to see this is not fair. You'll begin to really exercise your tongue and complain. The best place to complain is a community of complainers. Your coworkers. You go out on lunches and coffee. And what's happening is you're losing your Christian testimony by participating, by involving. You're not just, I'm just connecting with the other coworkers so that, I can be with them and later on I want to bring them to church. No, it doesn't work that way. By your judgment, you're really giving yourself to kind of the world's conforming to the world. He's really giving very practical advice. Just guard your tongue. Stop complaining. Another thing that you might complain about, because I've heard this, is you might begin to complain about your pastors. It might be for like GCC people maybe. You were with him all these years through college. You thought he was the next closest thing to Jesus. And then for some reason you get into college. And I don't know why this happens, but all of a sudden you got, I don't know, smarter, wiser, more efficient, more more frustrated. All of a sudden, like, you went from Pastor Young to Pastor Young, Pastor Matt to Pastor Matt. And you just kind of enter into this new phase. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this because I'm now receiving some complaints and criticism. It's not a defensive question. It's sort of, I complain about Pastor Young too. Delete that. I used to complain. I used to sit down in Pastor Eddie's office and in the name of venting or processing my emotions, right? I did that. And now in hindsight, I look back, I had no idea what I was doing. I was here. I was so fixated on what I felt like my boss, even though he's a pastor, was kind of inflicting these kind of hardships in my life. And one thing I've come to understand is this. Now that I'm in his shoes, sort of, kind of as a lead pastor, man, lead pastors, they go through a lot of pressure. I think you kind of know that, and some of you pray for them and kind of sympathize. But can I just make a blanket statement? No, you don't know. You don't know what lead pastors go through. And I say this from personal experience. I was an associate pastor for 9 years. And so if anybody is like that close to knowing what the life of a senior pastor was like, I think I had the best seat in the house. I had the front row seat. I saw him day in and day out. I worked with him. I listened to him. I talked to him. I gave him rides. And so I thought I knew. And then once I got booted and went to Kairos and got put into that lead pastor's position, I realized, wow, I did not know half the things that he might have probably had been feeling, thinking about, and going through that. Now I'm, for the first time, thinking about. My respect and love for Pastor boom, it just jumped after you kicked me out. Like, I feel like, oh my gosh, there are days where I think about it, and thank you for not firing me. Thank you for not, thank you for giving me this opportunity to grow. That's and so I realized when a lay person who might be close to senior pastors, but are still layers removed than maybe even I was, and I realized how little I understood. I really warn or admonish or encourage lay people. It doesn't mean that we're not fallible. It doesn't mean we're perfect and we're beyond reproof or correction. That's not the point of this. But there are a lot of things that it's hard for you to understand. And so hold the tongue from criticizing maybe a servant, or criticizing the way he treats small group leaders, criticizing him in the way he deals with his family or his wife, that you can. Because there's a lot to it. And I think in that kind of a climate, you really see even the pastor, even the community experiencing this kind of trust that is necessary for a healthy church to keep moving forward. Okay? So, a lot of times your complaints will be about people in authority. And I think really, they were probably complaining about the government officials who were cheating them. They were complaining about the market sellers who were stealing from their wives because the wives didn't know the way the business would work. And if 2 oranges cost this much for the person of the town, to the Jewish wife, 2 oranges would cost this much more because they were being taken advantage of. So the people who were of authority, they were complaining about it. And Paul says, James is saying, stop using your tongue to complain about your bosses, coworkers. Perhaps you're already in management, those under you. Rather, build up. working on time. The second thing that he says then is from there. The point number 3 still is determine that you will love others. Determine that you will love others. And avoid the world's way of responding to difficulties. In chapter 2, verse 6, you see that? Chapter 2, verse 6. Chapter 2, verse 6. But you have dishonored the poor. Is it not the rich who are exploiting you? Are they not the ones who are dragging you into court? Are they not the ones who are blaspheming the noble name of Him to whom you belong? Why does James write that? Is James like this poor pastor who looks at rich people and just has kind of a allergic reaction? He sees somebody with a nicer clothes, he says, I hate those people. I curse them. I don't think that's what's going on. He's not picking on the rich people. But to his believers, to the audience of this letter, the rich were really exploiting them. The rich were taking advantage of them. And yet, if you want to advance in life, who do you have to kind of, I don't know, brown nose? Who do you have to kind of like be nice to? The rich, your bosses, the ones who have decisions to promote you, to elevate you. Right? And that's a temptation that many of us will face if we go into the corporate sector. If we have to run our own small business, we know that we got to go and shake the right hands with the city planners and people who give. And so you kind of, by flesh, are leaning towards people with power, people with money, people who can help you. I mean, if we're all struggling and I can barely get by, and then a rich person happens to kind of look my way, or maybe a rich person visits my church, it's not a temptation. It's almost strategy to go sit next to that person and go, how are you doing? I'm so-and-so. Nice to meet you. By the way, here's my business card. That's strategic, right? Because then you can get somewhere. Then you can get noticed. Then you can network. And I'm not saying that's wrong. But what James's believers are saying, they just were throwing themselves. And you can imagine that kind of desperation of their right, their situation. They were just throwing themselves to rich people and completely neglecting the care for the poor, care for those that offer them that. They were becoming utilitarian. And so James is saying, these rich people that you're kissing up to, these rich people, you're giving them the front seat of the worship. Are they the ones that's really causing it? And you really think by going about your solution in the worldly ways, in the ways that you think you're so savvy, you're so smart, you really think that's what's going to cause my church, my son, my believer to shine my light? Again, don't get me wrong. He's not saying, don't ever talk to them, you're rich, or good. Put them in the dunce corner and leave them there. He's not saying that. But it was to the point where they were completely neglecting ministry, completely neglecting their calling to bless those who didn't, bless one another, even in their family. To say, look, I see the kids are losing weight. I could have gone to that $200 company dinner if I went. It might have gotten me an edge over my business partner. It might have helped me. But you know what? I feel God moving me to spend this $200. Why did He help you guys out? That was what was missing. There will be choices like this for young people. And I'm not saying going to a company dinner or a Christmas celebration is wrong. But really guard your heart and know that your ministry, God's ministry, God's course of life, is life in the dark world, is what He cares to find That's why James is writing. Determine in your heart. Make it a determination to love others. Look for opportunities. Maybe you can even save aside a certain budget out of the year. Rather than trying to get all the toys that everyone is getting one by one. Maybe you determine in your bank budget, now I got 80,000, 100,000 salary. I can set aside 500 a month. I don't know where it's going to go, but God, this is going to be yours, tithing, whatever. But I also want to give to the missionaries. When I hear next time a missionary. That kind of practice, that kind of determination, that kind of like forward thinking is what James is saying. Determine in your heart to love especially those who are going to be in need as you move forward. And then he gets into the section 4, determine that you'll love others. Is this 4? Do you guys have 4:8? Loving impartially, and that's kind of what we talked about. For this reveals your confidence that God is in control of your life. And ultimately, we all look to God and He's the Father. B says love tangibly, for this will reveal the living faith that you will that'll safely take you through the trial. Tangibly, speak that love language. That love language. Don't just love. And this is the passage where the infamous, the controversial passage that is introduced to us in James. And how can you say you have faith when you have no action? This wasn't about like having saving faith. That's not what James is talking about. He's not talking about you need to do all these good works so that it proves that you have faith. And because of that faith, now God is going to save you. And that's what He responds to by giving you praise. That's not what this is about. This is about you're people of God. People around you are in need. You cannot say, God bless you. Be gone now. Phew, where's that rich guy? I gotta go talk to him. He's saying, no, oh, thank you. Give out of. We have a saying at Kairos Church. If your giving doesn't shift your standard of living, you're not really giving. I think that's the kind of generous giving that God is calling. God, you don't want all the toys, all the gadgets, all the cars, fine wear, a lot of those things. But if we're surrounded by those things, it may, without trying to sound judgmental, it may be an indication that there's just a lot of temporal, earthly things that our hearts are gravitating more and more. If you find yourself, I wish I had that iPad number 10 or whatever, 5, but not yet. I gotta give some issues. That's the large thing. Tangible thing. Point number 5 says determine that you avoid the world's ways of responding to difficulties. And we talked about this. A is avoid lashing out against other believers whose behaviors you think may be adding to your difficulties. To complain, to curse, and to criticize. It's easy to criticize. It's easy to criticize our church members. It really is. Like sometimes we begin to criticize. The reason my faith is like this, the reason I'm not growing, the reason I feel stunted in my young adult is because our worship team just sucks. We still keep singing those songs that's outdated. I don't know, the band that, GCC was so great, or the New Yorker. If they just had a better band, I think I would grow. Oh, my small group leader, it's not the way it used to be back at Germany church. Oh, these guys stink. Why does this church even allow them to be worship leaders? It's just easy to lash out. And you know what you're doing is, they are responsible for my growth. And the reason that I feel frustrated and I'm not growing, and I'm not getting married, I'm not getting promotions, I'm not getting that job that I wanted, is their fault. You need to pray more. My small group leader doesn't go to morning prayers. No wonder our small group sucks.
I think it's very easy to criticize people. And Paul's saying, this destroyed the church. This destroyed the potency, the power of the church. And so, again, guard your tongue. Hold on to your tongue. It's kind of a weird advice. It really is weird advice. I mean, I'm thinking about, okay, you guys going to college, young adult, and the best advice that James would give is just quiet. That doesn't really help. Believe me, you will see the power of God's word, of the wisdom of what this is saying. If you really practice, you will see how it smoothens out relationships. You will see how it brings credibility among your coworkers so that they come to you when you're really going through a crisis, divorce, or when your kid has some kind of a sickness. They'll say, can you pray for me? I realize you're different than everyone else. And when you have guarded your tongue as a result of James's wisdom, you realize the truth of God's word, the power of the truth, the light that you can shine, really shines through your life. Point 3, if you have wisdom for how other believers should be acting during the trial, make sure it doesn't arise from any personal agenda, but instead it emerges through your humble example, gentle counsel, and bringing peace to the group. It might be that you have a good idea. It might be that your idea is actually God's idea. It might be that even your kind of critique of the small group leader, it might be that even your kind of opinion or your thoughts is actually a good thing to do. But really guard the evil personal agenda that sometimes can convolute purity of your heart. That's kind of what Paul's saying. That couple that I talked about, wanting to invest $100,000 so they can give to missions. They have been nice house. They would have given some to missions. You make $40,000, you should give something. You should give, even if it's a tithing, at least $4,000 to missions. But the rest of $36,000 is going to be spent for more costly lifestyle. They admit that. It's easy to hide behind a religious cloak, look spiritual, sound spiritual. Only you really know, and God knows, what's really driving why you did what you did. Paul is saying, guard that. James is saying, guard that. Point 3, if you find that you're angry with someone in the church, it's probably because they have frustrated your personal agenda because you have stopped trusting God. I don't know if any of you guys are kind of even now angry at your church. You identify yourself as, maybe angry is too strong of a word, but somewhat critical, or I don't know, I use the word grumpy. And you go to church and rather than coming in with this, man, I'm really thankful for GCC, I'm thankful for Journey, I'm thankful for TRP. You kind of come in going, we can do better. And it doesn't mean that we can't do better. Again, I'm not saying everyone's perfect, the church is perfect. But you kind of are used to this kind of attitude that's kind of spilled over, and you come in with sort of a grumpiness. The thing is, rather than like, what's wrong with our worship? What's wrong with them? This church just doesn't have enough administration. We never find out what we're supposed to be, and it's frustrating, this and that, and this and that. What's really happening is, what is that personal agenda that's being frustrated? If it's not a bad personal agenda, maybe you're not in the right church. It's just not fitting. But you're realizing, wow, a lot of my personal agenda is really fleshly. Really of the devil. I better repent. I better deal with my heart. I better deal with my heart issues. And stop casting judgment. That's what Paul is saying. Really look at your heart. I think, if you have some angry people in your small groups, like you're a small group leader or you're one of the ministry leaders, and you deal with like angry members, take this Bible study today. All you're doing is reflecting their anger at the Word of God. It says you got some. It's not that my small group leader
sucks. It might not be great, but I'm doing my best. Your anger should really be coming from what is it that you want? Deal with that. I hear, I did a sermon on depression in church. You know, depression is now an epidemic in today's society. In our church, ministry to all the students who are struggling with depression. Prescription, prescribed medication. I'm not against prescribed medication. I don't look at people working with prescribed medication and say, okay, we're sinning. You don't depend on Jesus. Okay, I don't think that we can. It's not that side. I read depression, not always, but oftentimes is anger just focused inward. You're so angry about something. You're so angry about conditions or situation. You're not getting what you should be entitled to because you keep finding yourself in the short end of the stick. And in the church, if you express anger, we're like, well, no, you know. So a lot of times you find people just kind of inwardly building up anger. And emotionally, we're not wired to handle that much anger. So what happens as a result is they find themselves alone. They find themselves in real depression. Sometimes it's other causes. It's very complex. But if I just kind of sense, man, you've been one angry person, whether it was your mom and dad, or your church, or your pastor, or whatever, we begin the process of healing by repenting, by beginning to walk through forgiveness, by beginning to help that person. Start forgiving mom and dad. Start forgiving coworkers. Start forgiving. And really allowing the spirit of forgiveness and love to really give us. Again, depression, I know can cause by so many factors. If it is one that is caused by just constant berating, judgment, criticism, anger, you don't even know it yourself. It's good for you to hear, man, you've really been angry. Who is it that you need to forgive? Who is it that you need to let go of in your heart so that you experience God's grace? Point number 4, instead of being angry with others, submit to what God is doing in your life. Again, that's the submission. Accept things that will be difficult for a while. And while you're there, don't sin in judgment of others. I'm going to leave you with, like I said, we're not going to finish. But there's Psalm 73. I think will one day speak volumes to you, if not now. Psalm 73. I don't have it in your notes. But you can just write it, Psalm 73. And then after Psalm 73, we'll wrap up. Psalm 73, later on, you can look at it, is written by the national music director of Israel. Okay. Who is the most popular worship songwriter today? Is there one that you look up to as like, he is or she is, like, her music everyone should sing? Is there someone like that? I'm asking, is there anyone like that?
There's a few.
No?
There's a few.
There's a few? Just give me one name.
Chris Thomas.
Huh? Chris Thomas. I heard of his name. I'm really Chris Thomas. So Psalm 73 is a song that will be kind of written by someone like a Chris Thomas, or I guess a Matt Redman, somebody whose songs touches, masses of people. And Psalm 73 basically is saying, man, I followed you, God, but it sucks. But can you imagine singing a song? It sucks to follow Jesus. Because every time you follow Jesus, everyone else advances except for you. Read Psalm 73. That's what the national writer of Israel, songwriter, is writing. He looks at the rich and goes, look, their children, if they get sick, they have money. My kids, when they get sick, I don't know what to do. I can't afford to even take them to a hospital because I don't have insurance. And that's what's going on in Asaph's heart. And he comes to a point as he's realizing, why am I even following them? All my coworkers, workers that cheated, that cut corners, that lied, that kissed the right butts of the right people. They're moving up. They got the corner offices. I'm still stuck in this dang cubicle. This because I'm doing it the right way. Because I share my celebration with others. I give credit where credit is due. I take responsibility if I don't say it wasn't my fault, it was his fault. I don't shift blame. I'm doing it the right way, the godly way. But all around me, they are getting better. They are improving. He just moved into a 4,000 square foot house. I'm still stuck with 3 roommates. They snore. Is this really worth it? That's what Psalm 70 is about. There's second verse. He says, until I enter the sanctuary. Until I enter the sanctuary, then I understood. Then I understood. What happened in the sanctuary? One, he had an encounter with God and his heart needed. But on a very practical level, then he looked around. And he looked around at other people that were going through his own fight. He looked at other people who were struggling in their life with God. And then he looked at people who were married and he saw that this marriage was about to fall apart at the seams. It was just breaking apart because of their selfishness. And yet, because they had trusted in God, their marriage is now restored. Their children are happy. And he looks at that and goes, yes, I see now why it is better to follow in the ways of righteousness. He looks at the people who did honest business. Well, it took a longer time, but they got promoted. And their promotion lasts longer. It's more stable. Because they were able to really work. And they gained the work ethics, the work skills necessary at that new position. Whereas these guys who cut corners, they got there and they got exposed and realized, dude, how'd you get up here? It was only a matter of time before either losing their jobs or being kind of shifted by HR to somewhere else. But this Christian guy, it might have taken them a few years longer, but is continuing to get better. That's why Asaph sees that and goes, that way seems tempting. That way seems like I get there faster. And I can contribute to missions. But it is good to be in the sanctuary. You talk about community. I hope as you move forward, you find a great church, community deliberately, where when you enter, there is a plethora of testimonies of God's grace continues to sustain. As you hear that, as you see that the world and its ways and the world and all its lures and limitations really begins to come out. Take it back. So I just want to leave you with that. I hope it helped. I hope it was good. I hope the book of James is the book that you'll remember as you go through some crisis and challenges in your life. As you read, obey God's word. May it really strengthen all of you. Thanks for coming. Let me pray. Wrap up the word of prayer.